Hello! I just want to say hello to the Fiveish Fangirls. No, that's wrong. I want to say hello to the Fiveish Fangirls. Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Yes, that's
Yes,
correct.
that's
Anyway,
correct.
hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello. That's 5 hellos to the Fiveish Fangirls. Bye.
The tangents and squee continue all the way to episode 7 of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. It does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live. Welcome everyone to the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. So glad you made it for this week's episode number 7. Let's go around the virtual table and see who has joined us this week.
Brittany from Taos. This is Chrissy from Salt Lake City.
Polly from Wisconsin.
Michelle in Goderich, Ontario.
And I am Rachel from Indianapolis, Indiana. Welcome, everyone. We've got another exciting episode for everyone this week. And not quite as news-heavy as last week, but still a decent amount of news. So let's jump right in to this week's news.
Yes. First piece of news. There's a full-length trailer for the new season of Doctor Who.
Yay!
Yay! Finally! Woo! It's only about a minute or so, but it is jam-packed with stuff from this new season.
Yes. Lots of monsters, which is very exciting.
Yes.
And I love the new tone that they're taking with this series.
Yeah.
A lot of people have said, dark, mysterious kind of a thing, and yeah, I'm just excited. I'm eager to see to see Capaldi in action finally.
Yeah.
After a year.
Have you seen the comic on Tumblr that takes the Into Darkness line literally?
Oh yeah. where he switches the thing and everything goes dark and you just see the little cartoon eyes of the Doctor and Clara.
Even though you can only see her eyes, you can tell Clara's like,
she's glaring at him.
She's just glaring at him. It's hilarious.
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not the only one who thought when he said Into Darkness, I'm like, Star Trek.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I thought Star Trek. I'm like, wait, is Kirk gonna make an appearance? What's going on here?
Chris Pine,
Yeah.
Where are you guys?
Yeah.
But no, yeah, the trailer looks fantastic, and they have an actual T-Rex going down the streets of London.
Through London.
So we'll see what that's all about.
Yeah.
I can't wait to find what that's.
Yeah, no kidding.
I just feel like
there was anything like that. Was Invasion of the Dinosaurs.
Yeah, like
Or
Yeah.
could this be one of the escapees from the Ronnie's TARDIS?
that could be.
Maybe.
Ooh.
I like that theory, Holly.
I could see people having flashbacks. You got this T-Rex.
Hi.
You have this T-Rex coming down the streets of London, and older folks are like, "Wait, didn't this happen back in like the 70s?"
There have been a lot of callbacks to the John Pertwee era with
With
some of the
Capaldi.
stuff's going with Capaldi,
Yeah,
and so there could very well be.
yeah.
No, yeah, I have no problem with that either. So if they want to do some of that, bring it on.
Yep.
There's obviously some new stuff as well,
Yeah.
and Vastra, Jenny, and Strax are going to be back.
Mm-hmm.
And some very interesting looking creatures that are interesting.
Oh.
That's the only way to put it. It's like there's
Yeah.
one guy that
the one bit that I like the most, and maybe it's just because I love exploring characters and what makes them tick and everything, is the end where the Doctor goes, "Clara, am I a good man?" And Clara's got this look on her face like, I don't know. And, she
Well, she actually says, "I don't know."
she says that I don't know who the Doctor
Yeah.
is anymore.
Yeah.
But in the
but it's
trailer,
just-
that at the end of this, she just says, "I don't know."
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm really excited to see how their relationship.
1 more month, approximately.
Yes.
I think the count is 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, something like that.
It's gonna be a long 5 weeks.
Well, I have a countdown on my phone. It says 1 month, 3 days. So I don't know.
Well, today is as we're recording, it's the 19th of July. So
right.
Yeah, that would
be right.
Tomorrow's the 20th. Yep, that would be about right.
Yep.
So, yep,
not long now. Staying with Doctor Who news.
We might get a Lego set for the Unlovely Child, but Lego needs 10,000 supporters. And how you can do this is by setting up a Lego account, which is free, and this will gauge potential interest to see if Lego will actually set up a Lego account and then say that you support this project.
Yep.
Yes.
And we'll put a link in our show notes to where you can see a picture of the set, of the proposed set, and where you can support it. It's totally free. You don't have to spend any money. They just ask you if you want to, or they ask you some survey questions, like how much you think you would pay for something like this. How hard does it look to put together? How many would you buy? I think that was all the questions. It's a really short little thing. But if they get 10,000 supporters,
who would this be appropriate for? Like what demographic? Would this be good for?
Yeah, that was the other question to answer. So if they get 10,000 supporters in, and I can't remember how many days it was, but it was over a year.
I just did it today as we're recording, and it said 340 days, I think, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So there's
time to do this.
Still plenty of time, but
the sooner they get the 10,000, the sooner they can make it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's
rapidly support this project if you want it.
Yes, and just for some, for now until you can get to the link to see it, it's Totter's Lane, basically, or it's the junkyard. It has the TARDIS, and it has a little First Doctor, Susan, Ian, and Barbara. And I love I love the minifigs. They're so adorable. It's like I want this just for the little minifigs of the first Team TARDIS, because I love the first Team TARDIS so much. It's almost as much as I love the Fifth Doctor. And we all know how much you love him.
Yes.
Oh yes. But yeah, Ian and Barbara. Oh, he stole my heart. I love them so much.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Like I say, I don't play the shipping game too often, but when I do,
Ian and Barbara, absolutely.
Oh, they are canon. I don't.
They are absolutely canon.
Yes, they are.
Even before the Sarah Jane Adventure episode, when I was first watching their stories and the black and white stuff, I'm like, they totally get together when they got home. You can't tell me otherwise. And then I found out fandom actually agreed with me, so I was like,
did you see that last scene on the bus? They were
oh yeah, totally. So I'm like, and fandom actually agrees with me, so I'm like, yes, score one.
Yeah.
Anyway. So go on the Lego Ideas website. We'll put the link in and go support this if it's something you want.
They can start with one and start working their way through the series.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
that'd be cool.
Forget all the fighting over the 3.5-inch versus 5-inch or whatever the action figure things. Get the minifigs. I want the Lego minifigs.
Yep.
Yes.
Of all the doctors and their companions. Anyway. Well, we're moving on to another fandom. Today, July 19th, is Saturday, saw a new episode of Sailor Moon Crystal. As episode 2 of the series was released today. In addition to that, I cannot pronounce this group's name for the life of me, but I'm going to try. It's Momoro Clover Z. Their song Moon Pride, which is the opening song for Sailor Moon Crystal. Well, they put out a music video for the song, and if you've heard the song, it's, oh my gosh, it's like adrenaline rush with glitter. It's amazing. It's
Nice.
so.
I've never heard that
I don't-
description before, but
Oh my gosh! If you are a longtime fan of Sailor Moon and you know the backstory and you know how the story goes and you watch this music video, it's all animation, and it seems like it depicts the fall of the Silver Millennium. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. It's just I'm so in love with this animation style. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I love it, and I love what they've done with it. And with the music, it's so good. So we'll put a link up to this video. I was kind of surprised that that they did such a thing with this, and it was to promote that the album's coming out and the soundtrack and everything. I'm surprised that they showed as much as they did. I thought they would actually save that for the episode, that whenever they deal with this particular part of the story. But maybe they'll do something different for the story. I don't know. They haven't got that far yet. But I'm in love with it. I haven't been able to watch it. I think I've watched it twice so far because I had to work today. But once we get done podcasting, I'm going to go watch it a couple more times and just sort of fall in love with it all over again, because that was one of my favorite parts of the story.
And also, I haven't had a chance to watch the new episode yet, unfortunately.
Oh,
I've been
well, I will.
family
The episode 2. Oh, yeah, I did watch it, and it's the. I'll just say this: it is the introduction of Sailor Mercury, who is. I love her. She's
back
she's
from
my
the end
girl.
of the first
Yeah.
episode.
Well, yeah. So I didn't want to spoil you, but I was just so excited because Sailor Mercury was my favorite always, and I loved it. It was great. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say about it. But yay, Sailor Moon stuff, hooray! And now I want a Mercury pen. I'm done.
moving on to another fandom, the Marvel Universe, there's been a couple of announcements, which the announcements in themselves are interesting, but where the announcements came from is a little interesting as well. The first one is on The View, of all things. Marvel made an announcement, the women of The View made the announcement, I guess on Marvel's behalf, that there is going to be a new comic book series coming out where Thor is going to be a woman. And according to Jenny McCarthy, the story is that there's this woman who is saved by Thor, comes to Earth, and makes herself look like Thor, and manages to, be deemed worthy enough to wield Thor's hammer, and therefore has the power of Thor. So, but this isn't Thor girl, who apparently has been in the comics before and has assisted Thor in battle and is an Asgardian herself and has similar powers. This is a completely new character. So that's interesting. And then they've also announced on the Colbert Report, Marvel's chief creative officer, I don't want to butcher his name, Joe Quesada, said that Captain America is going to be, the helm of Captain America is going to be taken up by Sam Wilson, which if you've seen The Winter Soldier, you know that is the Falcon. So apparently in the comics, Steve Rogers is going to lose his super soldier powers and is going to begin aging, and Wilson takes over the captain, the stars and stripes and all that. So those are just happening in the comic book world. That is not anything that is affecting the movies that we know of. So this is strictly in the comic books, which, as far as I'm concerned, bring it on. I've seen unfortunately, there's a lot of controversy with both of these. I don't see what the big deal is, because they do this in comic books all the time. Comic books, they have their main storyline that everybody knows, but then they'll come up with a new series where they may go alternate universe. You know, the hero may die or become gravely injured or something, and it's like it's okay. People, they're just exploring new storylines. That's all.
Exactly, which is really cool. And the Thor one intrigues me because it seems like Thor is, rather than being his actual name, it's more of kind of a title,
right?
Sort of a thing. Just kind of from what I've been able to gather from it. And they're not giving away because apparently, I mean, they keep saying the story's going to make sense, which, you know, and I believe them. And I'm actually wanting to read this now because the idea has me intrigued. I'm like, I wonder how this is going to work, and, you know, how this goes. And, you know, like I've said before, I'm not a comic book reader just because there's so much like, what do I need to know, and so much to keep straight. But yeah, this one I'm kind of interested to know, like, from what little I do know of the Thor, the culture of Asgard and that kind of thing. I'm just like how that goes into their world building. And I mean, I'm a sucker for good world building, and this sounds like something that would come from their culture and their traditions and things. So I'm actually looking forward to this one. Once I understood that it wasn't Thor, the Thor that we know is turning into a woman. It's another character, completely new character, who is taking up the mantle of Thor and the title and the power.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I'm with you.
Yeah. And I think that's cool. In the Captain America thing, I said to my husband about this last night that, you know, people are getting all up in arms about the fact that Captain America is going to be black, which I'm not even going to go into that. But to me, it's like, it's not any different than in the comic books where Rhodey has taken up the Iron Man suit. Now, Rhodey is War Machine, but Rhodey in the comics has also taken up the Iron Man suit when Tony Stark has it. This is the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's that you have often, like, the friend of the superhero or the sidekick or whatever. They when the hero can no longer do it, they take it up and say, okay. I mean, they're not the sidekick anymore. They say, okay, you know, people look up to Captain America or Iron Man or whoever, and it's more of, they need that symbol
exactly
for you know, for hope or whatever, or something like that. Anyway,
so
so I'm cool with it. It's an already established character. We know, you know, he's Captain America's friend. He's worked with him before. He's a hero in his own right. Why the heck not?
Exactly. So I say bring it on. It's all good.
Yep, let's do it.
So. In news coming from San Diego Comic-Con, which is coming up very, very quickly. Comic-Con, yes, Comic-Con International and the San Diego Comic-Con website said that they are working on, they're calling them toucan, which is weird, toucan tracker wristbands for Comic-Con goers. And this is specifically for Hall H, which is the main hall where all the big panels happen, where, you know, like surprise guests will show up and that sort of thing. So this is, you know, if you're going for the panels, this is the room you want to get into. And it's notorious for people lining up, you know, for a panel hours, if not a day in advance. So to try and keep things a bit more organized, they're coming out with these wristbands that you can get, which I guess they have some sort of RFID type technology. And I keep thinking of the wristbands that you get now when you go to Disney World that Disney can use that double as like your room key and your fast pass and all that. So I'm thinking it's similar technology to that. But apparently they will distribute them out in the plaza at 1 a.m. Or we'll stop at 1 a.m. I don't know when they're going to start. The article doesn't say, but they're going to, well, they'll start handing them out when people start to get in line, but we'll stop at 1 a.m. and then resume again at 5 a.m. at the spot where the last wristband was given out. And I guess the whole idea is that the wristbands will let you know how full the hall is getting, or something like that.
Well, it says
The article on the Nerdist
idea-
explain it that
let me
well. So,
noting approximately what percentage of the room would have to clear in order for those remaining in line to enter.
yes. So, but they did want to emphasize that the getting a wristband does not guarantee you're going to get in. It's more for them to track the crowds and know all of that sort of stuff, I guess. So it'll be interesting to see how this works. I'm assuming we'll get feedback of some sort once they do this. So.
It'll probably be all over Tumblr.
Oh yes.
But whatever the result.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tumblr is the first to know everything.
Everything.
Pretty much. Don't even bother with Twitter anymore. Just go down Tumblr. Yeah. They know what's going on.
Yeah. So, again, San Diego Comic-Con, you're a beast. Those of you that are going, good luck to you.
Yes.
We'll be praying for you.
Next segment in the news is ABC unveils some of their fall premiere schedule. The long summer wait for the return of our favorite ABC shows now has a definite end in sight. The network has announced fall premiere schedule for dates for the upcoming season. Fans can look forward to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s return on September 23rd, Once Upon a Time on September 28th. The mid-season dates for mid-season shows like Agent Carter and Gallivant, which will air in the middle split of seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Once Upon a Time, respectively, have not yet been revealed. Also, a couple others to mention. Castle returns on September 29th, and then also on September 30th is Selfie, which is going to be co-starring Doctor Who alum Karen Gillan, which I'm probably going to try to check out. And we'll post the link with the rest of the schedule for the rest of the ABC shows on the website.
Yep. So, it's exciting. We finally have a countdown for all of our stuff.
Yoo-hoo!
Bring on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
It's over.
Yeah.
Getting close to over.
The hiatus. There's an end in sight. We're gonna be okay. Well, this summer's been brutal. I don't know how the rest of you guys have coped, but I'm done with summer.
Well, I've been watching Elementary this past week.
Ooh.
That's been on my list. I'm surprised I haven't started watching because I'm such a big Sherlock Holmes
Yeah, well, I
fan,
have
I haven't
actually
been able to.
written out 2 watch lists. So I was bored on Sunday, and so I consulted that, and top of the list, Elementary. So I started watching.
Oh, there you go. Work your way down, and I'm still working on Arrow season 2. I've been swamped with all kinds of stuff going on. But yep.
Yeah.
So anyway, yes, fall premieres wonderful. September is a wonderful month. Anyway, speaking of wonderful things, Chicago TARDIS has started announcing guests, and this is what we've got thus far, and we will put a link to their website so you can stay up to date if you're interested in what Chicago TARDIS has planned for this year's convention. The guests announced so far include Jason Hay Ellery, he's the Big Finish executive producer, Matt Irvine, a visual effects and K9 designer, Dominic Glynn, composer, arranger for the 6th and 7th Doctors era, which he was at Galley last year, if I am not mistaken. That was him, right? That did the new arrangement.
He's been doing new arrangements of the Doctor Who theme, and he's been posting them online. You can get downloads of them. So
yep,
very cool.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I got the right one.
Yeah.
Okay, so on with the list. So Sonita Henry was Colonel Meme from the Time of the Doctor. Nicholas Walker, who plays Liv Chenka in the Big Finish, 7th and 8th Doctor companions. Ellie Darcy Alden and Joseph Darcy Alden, who are Francesca and Digby, respectively, from The Snowmen. And Nicholas Briggs, who we all know and love as the voice of the Daleks and Cybermen and Big Finish executive producer. And last but certainly not least is the one and only Billy Piper, who we know as Rose Tyler and also the Moment in Dave the Doctor. So it's good to see Chicago TARDIS getting their guest list up and going and running, and we'll be eager to see anything or see what they have planned this year. And if any of you wonderful listeners are going to Chicago TARDIS this year, we would love to hear reports, share pictures, or anything that's going on with that when you go. So Chicago TARDIS is a great little con. I've not been myself, but I've heard it's a lot like Galley, so I'm sure it's wonderful.
It is. I went last year, and that was my first ever major type convention where multi-day and all that, and it was a lot of fun. So I touched on that on our convention episode, and I won't rehash into my embarrassing story here, but yeah, Chicago TARDIS, it's a good convention. It's nice and decent size, but not too overwhelming. I think this year they are planning on making changes to their setup as far as the autograph and photo sessions. When I went last year, and I don't know if that's the way they did it in previous years, but last year you went, and if you had they have different tiers of badges, and if you got the top tier or the first couple of tiers, you got automatic first in line for photo and autograph sessions, and I think some of them were actually included with the cost, so you didn't have to pay on top of it. And then the lower tiers, what you did is you went first thing or at a designated time, and they handed out tickets, and the tickets were numbered, and the higher the number, obviously the further back you were. And what they were supposed to do is they were supposed to hand out so many tickets, and then you're supposed to go and do panels and whatever, and then you go to a designated room before the session, either the autograph or photo session, and you wait, and they call the numbers, and they were supposed to cut them off at a certain point, but I don't think they ever actually cut them off. I think they always tried to cram in as many people and would extend the sessions, because I think that the stars didn't want to make anybody feel bad by cutting anybody off, so they were constantly extending it. Because I almost got cut off in getting the 3 doctors autographed. But they ended up extending it and extending it again, and I got in on the last batch of people. So, but this year I think they are going to go on the same lines as Wizard World, the way they do their conventions, where you can pre-purchase your sessions.
That makes sense.
And those with the higher tier badges will get in on the purchase sooner than everybody else. But I think I saw that they are completely out of the higher tiered badges now. They still have the general admission 3-day and single day badges available, but any of the reserved and the premier badges are completely sold out. I know last year that they offered a wait list, which I tried to get on the wait list for one of the higher badges, but they said that I got it. I didn't know I was going in until it was too late. So they'd emailed me back and said, at this point, the wait list is just too long. We'd have to have an outrageous number of people cancel. So we're not taking any more people on the wait list. So you can always email and see if they're doing another wait list or not, or you can go to their Facebook page, like their Facebook page. A lot of people will post if they have to cancel and have to give up their badge, and you can try and maybe get one that way if you desperately want a reserved tier type badge and not just the general admission. So
yeah,
but
the worst they could tell you is no.
Yeah, exactly. So, and they do try their best to get as many people to do the autographs and the photos as possible. So, and this is only the beginning as far as guest announcements. I'm sure there's going to be more. It's nice to see Nicholas Briggs on the list. He was supposed to come last year and had to cancel at the last minute, which was sad because I was looking forward to meeting him, but, you know.
Oh, he's fabulous. I met him at Galley.
Yeah. But
he's great.
At this point, I'm not planning on going to Chicago TARDIS even to see Billy Piper. But as they announce more guests, that may change. But at this point, I'm not planning on going.
Yeah,
we'll see.
So anyway, so yay Chicago TARDIS.
Yes.
And that's the end of our news list. But I want to plug one little thing real quick. I've been meaning to plug this for weeks, and I keep forgetting. So I finally just made a note for myself. On Goodreads, we have a Doctor Who book club that started with Traveling the Vortex when they would do book reviews, and like I would hear their reviews of the books. I'm like, oh, I want to read that, but in my day job as a librarian, I'm trying to read as many different things as possible across different genres, and I routinely have a pile of books on my nightstand 20, 30 deep. And so I had to come up with some, if I want to read anything Doctor Who related, I have to sit down and say, I am going to read this. And there was, a couple of listeners of Traveling the Vortex said, hey, let's get a book club together. And I decided, hey, I should do this because, I don't know, I feel like I could do it on Goodreads. I love Goodreads is fantastic. It's a phenomenal little tool. I use it often, and it's a great little reference if you need to know what kind of books and stuff you want to read, and keep track of what you're reading, and even to know what series order things. Anyway, I'm not here to plug Goodreads. I'm here to plug the Doctor Who book club. Actually, Traveling the Vortex book club. I would like to kind of branch out and say it's also the Fiveish Fangirls Doctor Who book club, because we're sort of partnered brother sister podcast, something like that. Anyway, this month we are reading Alastair Reynolds' book, The Harvest of Time. It's a third Doctor book. So we're reading it till the end of July, and the discussion is on the group. There's discussion boards for books we've read in the past. So if you want to go back and read any of those old ones, you can read those and put in your comments. And there's also a poll to see what we're going to read in August, and there's a list, and there's a place you can suggest book titles, and I will take those into consideration. I'm I'm kind of the moderator of this whole shebang. So if you're interested, if you want to read some Doctor Who books, then want to join up with people who are reading Doctor Who books, come join our group. We're a fun crowd, kind of low key, laid back. So just come have fun. It's enjoyable. We're very not set on a schedule at all because I'm way too scattered this summer, but it's a good time. So just wanted to plug that out there for any Doctor Who bookworms that we may have in our audience.
Very cool. We don't have any feedback this week, although we probably want to give a big thanks to Michelle's dad, who happened to walk in the room before we started recording. Mentioned that he's listened to a few of our shows and he enjoyed them very much. So we told him thank you at the time, but we thought we'd give him a shout out for that nice little warm fuzzy he gave us.
Yes.
Before we started
recording.
Thank
you, Michelle's dad.
Yeah. So.
Thank you, Michelle's dad.
Yeah. No, other than that, we don't have any feedback, so we will take it, though. So, don't feel shy to send us anything. I know some people, I know personally, when I first started listening to Traveling the Vortex, it's sending in feedback. I was like, I don't want to sound like I'm goofy or weird or anything, but it's good. It's all good.
Yeah, well,
I just want to say
back to Traveling the Vortex, I was scared of how they'd react.
Yeah, I just take it from us. Well, I'll speak for myself. I think I sound goofy and weird on the podcast, and I'm one of the hosts here. So don't feel bad. Don't feel awkward or anything. You know what? We're just glad you're listening, and you know what? We would love to just to hear from you, just to say that you're out there and listening, and and even if you have criticism for us, Just be nice, please.
Yeah.
I know I have a few friends that I know in real life that have been listening to the podcast, and they're like, oh, and they tell me on Facebook or whatever, they say, oh, I've heard your podcast. I'm like, send in feedback. Oh, I don't know, how do I do that? And I tell them, and I'm like, so I'm challenging you people, and you know who you are. Just send in a few notes. But I can do that because you're my friend. Yes, I know exactly. She knows exactly who I'm talking about too.
Throwing down the gauntlet.
Ooh.
Yes, gauntlet thrown.
Yeah.
Especially this week, because of our topic that we're going to be discussing.
Yeah.
This friend and I, we bonded over this particular fandom, which we're going to introduce now.
Yeah. If you didn't recognize the quote at the beginning of the show, that was a words of wisdom from the great Albus Dumbledore. And if that's not a big enough clue, we're talking about Harry Potter this week. A bit fitting because, one, Harry Potter's been in the news recently with the opening of Diagon Alley in Universal in Florida, and also it just opened at Universal in Japan.
Wow.
In the last week
Nice.
as well. So it is now open on two. There's now Diagon Alley in 2 continents, and with J.K. Rowling releasing that short story on Pottermore a few weeks ago as well, and also coming up at the end of the month on July 31st is not only J.K. Rowling's birthday but Harry Potter's birthday as well. So it's
happy birthday to you.
Early celebration of their birthdays, we're going to talk all things Harry Potter this week. So, and we should, just in case, warning, possible spoilers. We will be discussing the books and the movies. I would think at this point the statute of limitations is taken into effect, but just in case.
Well,
yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah, I saw a video this week from Screen Junkies. They were talking about spoilers.
Oh, I saw that
I posted
too.
it on Facebook. Yeah.
I saw that too.
And they said the statute of limitations for a TV show is 2 days. For a movie is 2 weeks. The last Harry Potter came out
like 2-3 years ago.
2 or 3 years ago. So, and the last book's been out for 7 years. So I think the statute of limitations is out.
But just in case, you can't say we didn't warn you.
Yes. Yes. So free. All shall be freely discussed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So. Oh my! I can't believe it's been that long since it all finished. That makes me sad.
I know it does.
I know. Well, first let's go around and kind of briefly talk about how we were all introduced to Harry Potter, because I think that's kind of in any fandom, but I think in Potter especially for a lot of people, how you found it is a really key thing in how you kind of connect with it. And I just remember it was the summer the Goblet of Fire came out, and I just turned 15. I was about to have go into the 10th grade, and my aunt and uncle both teach school, and they were enamored with Harry Potter, and I had no idea it was about wizards. I had no idea it was a fantasy or about magic or any of that. I just thought, oh, it's this cool book for kids. And my mom had the first 4 books. Oh no, she had the first 3, and they were just sitting on a bookshelf because my mom buys books, but she'll just let them sit there and not read them. And I kind of I have followed in her footsteps on some of these things. But I was bored one day, and I just picked up the first book and started reading it, and just like, what is this all about? And I had no idea it was about a school for wizards, no idea Harry's backstory or anything. I just read it, and I finished the first book in a couple of days, and like, this is great. I want the second one. Started reading the second one, like, okay, that one's good. The third one had me hooked. I was hook, line, and sinker. I was gone. And then by that time, my mom had finally bought the 4th book, and my brother had claimed it, but I knew he wasn't even done with the 2nd book yet, so I had to steal it away from him so I could actually read it. And I think in about a month, I I had all 4 books read, and I was ready for the 5th one, but that was during the big, long hiatus of 3 years until Order of the Phoenix came out, and we were waiting and waiting. And this was also about the time I discovered online fandom. We finally got decent working internet at our house. We've always been late adopters with technology. My parents have. And when I finally got the internet at my house, I was like, okay, what do I start searching? It's like, oh, Harry Potter. And that's when I found fan sites. And that's when I found the Leaky Cauldron was a big one that I found and read. And I eventually started listening to their Pottercast, which was so that was sort of my introduction into online fandom and finally understanding like how people connected over shared interests. And here I am today on a podcast with all of you fine ladies. So there's my short version.
My short version was I was kind of looking for something to read, and I just happened to catch the tail end of all things, the Rosie O'Donnell show. And she had read the first couple books of Harry Potter, and she's like, if you're looking for a book to read, highly recommend it. And I was going away for the weekend for a wedding, so it was going to be a long car trip. Went to the bookstore. They had the first 2 books, hardcover, on sale. Picked them up. I think I got halfway through the first book. I was hooked, and I'm like, I'm glad I got the second one, and I've been a fan ever since. But the third one kind of grabbed a hold of me even more, too. And I found fandom from the internet, and I remember listening to the Leaky Cauldron podcast, and then all the theories, and yes, the long wait for book 5. Oh my gosh. And anxiously awaiting my delivery of my book. So that's my brief introduction to Harry Potter.
Well, I remember hearing about it, like talking about it at school, and because I went to a Christian school growing up, this was when I was grade 7, so about 12. So, because I go to Christian school, my teacher told us to ask our parents' permission before we read them, and then one day, my parents went to the cottage with friends over like a weekend in the fall, and they watched the first movie. So my mom went out and got the first 3 books from the library, and I asked if I could read them, and I read them, and I loved them. And I remember I got the first 4 books in paperback that Christmas, and I don't think it was too long before the 5th one came out, because I think it came out the next summer or something, if I'm remembering correctly. I know, I did, but then I had to wait for 6 and 7.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I love the fact too that all the books, as they went on, they got progressively thicker.
Yes.
Yeah. And
I think book 5 was the thickest.
I delivered flyers in those days, and they had a carrier appreciation thing where they would put on a movie. If you were a carrier it was called the Penny Saver. So if you were a Penny Saver carrier, you could get tickets to see a movie, and shortly after I started working for them, the movie was the second Harry Potter movie, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. So I went and saw that with my dad. I was when I was 12. So that's my.
Yeah.
I jumped on the Potter bandwagon a little late. I picked up the books right around the time that book number 4, I think, was getting ready to come out. Oh, because by then it had become, like, the books were well known, but they was starting to get more ramped up because the first movie had come out by then. And I was in college at the time. It shows my age. I'd already graduated high school, so I was a bit on the older side, but I don't know exactly how I heard about it. I think it may have just been the media because of the hype from the movie and all that, how successful the first movie was. So I was like, well, I've always been kind of a voracious reader, but I hadn't really found anything to really hold my interest. So I was like, I'll give these a shot. So I went and bought the first one, and I inhaled it. So I bought the second one, inhaled it, and the third one, inhaled it, and then the fourth one, and I inhaled it. And then I was like, oh, I'm stuck waiting for the rest of them. But there's movies coming out, so I have the movies to tide me over.
Thank goodness for the movies.
Yeah. But, yeah, and then I bought the books as they came out, but I'd usually pick them up like a day or two or within a week of them being released, except for book 7. I went to a midnight release for book 7, and I picked it up and started reading it while I was in line to pay for it, which I'm sure everybody was doing.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, I had to put it down long enough to drive home, which really made me mad. I was praying for red lights, as many red lights as I could get on my way home. So, got home, read it as much as I could before I had to go to bed because I had to work the next morning. Which,
oh, no.
Darn sleep, it had to get in the way. So I went to work and I took it with me and I read it on my breaks, and as soon as I got out of work I read it. So I had it read in less than 24 hours, which is good, and that includes sleeping and working, so that was pretty good. So, but yeah, I inhaled book 7 just like I did all the rest of them. And then I did a midnight premiere for the last 2 movies, the Deathly Hallows 1 and 2. And I ended up rereading the series before the last movies came out, which I think a lot of people did as well. So, and then I've been to the first park at Universal, the Wizarding World Harry Potter, which consists of Hogwarts and all that, which made me very, very, very excited and looking forward to visiting Diagon Alley eventually too. So, but yeah, I have a wand, and I have merchandise and stuff that, on top of the books. I've got, soundtrack, and I got a wand when I went to Universal, and I've got a Slytherin scarf, and I've got t-shirts, and so, yeah. Brittany, what about you?
I got into Harry Potter, I got the first book for my 9th Christmas back in 99, and I started reading it that night after all the rest of the holiday festivities were over, and I just fell in love. Like the first few chapters, I was just like, I fell in love, and then what really got me was when they got onto the Hogwarts train and we meet Hermione, because we share the same last name, which I never got over. Especially finding out that she's a main character and she's a bookworm just like me. I was like, oh my goodness. And then,
it's really cool to have that connection.
Yes, exactly. And then when I went back to school after winter break, I went to check. I knew it was a part of the series, so I went to go check out the other books because it was only the second and third one that were only out then. Got those. I as everyone else, I devoured them and fell in love all over again. Then I think I was given the second, third, and the fourth book around my birthday, because my birthday's in the summer. So I got those, and I fell in love with the fourth book, and then had wait for the fifth one, which that one was actually, that was pre-ordered for me, and on my birthday, I forgot who gave it to me, but I got this little package, and in the little package had a piece of paper with an owl on it, said your owl is on its way. So when the day the book came out, I got the package.
Cool. Neat.
Nice.
And then
You were probably at that perfect age for that to work.
yeah, I was 14 when the fifth book came out. So I was still waiting for. I'm still waiting for my Hogwarts letter.
Aren't we all?
I think we all are.
Have you guys seen?
What are you talking about? I went out and got my own.
Saying, nice. Like there's like stuff I've seen on Tumblr about.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like stuff on like Pinterest about how you can create your own and make it authentic and all that.
Oh yeah, there's tons of that crafty stuff going. So,
Hello.
Yep.
hello.
Like.
So, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Actually, getting it for when you were about 13 confirms that it did come out the summer after, because we're the same age, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it came out the summer of 2003, and that was like right after I graduated high school.
Yeah. So
And-
I got into it like late 2002. So.
Okay. Yeah, and Rachel, your story about reading the seventh book on the way home. When I got my copy of the fifth book, I went with a group of friends. We did a midnight showing, and we all dressed up and everything. And one of our parents drove us into the city to get it, and then they were driving back, and we all had our copies, but we were all like, should we all should we read, or are we going to get car sick? And one of my friends said, I don't get car sick. I will read aloud to all of you. So she got through. So on the way home, she read aloud, and we got to the partway through chapter 2.
Wow.
And it was like we were walking out of the store in the parking lot, and we were all like, oh my gosh, the first chapter is called Dudley Demented, and we were just freaking out about it. And it was just so much fun. And she actually did a really good British accent, as I remember it. And she did voices for all the different characters. And I think we were all just way on the high of Book 5 finally came out. It's been 3 years. Because I got into it. I got into Harry Potter right after Book 4 came out. And then Book 4 was brand new and everything. So I had that long, interminable wait. And there was always the rumor of, oh yeah, it's coming out next fall. Nope, coming out next summer. Nope. And just like, you know what, whatever. And it was just and that was the first thing I ever camped out. The first movie was the first thing I ever camped out for tickets to, and I actually got permission from my parents to skip school and go stand in line. And I actually got on the front page of the newspaper because I was reading a Harry Potter book while I was waiting in line for movie tickets. And that was the best picture that's ever been taken of me, because I'm looking down and in my book. So, and I've got this look of concentration, and I'm like, I know I have that picture somewhere. I don't know if I have it here, or if it's at my parents' house, but it's like, if anyone ever wants to know what I'm really like, there, me concentrating on a book.
Yeah. I was looking for the first movie. I didn't have to camp out because for Thanksgiving, our family, we do like a gift exchange. And when I was younger, my cousins and I, we picked a name. And the cousin who picked me, which I can't remember off the top of my head, knows how big of a Harry Potter fan fan I am, because she is one too. And she got me tickets to see the first one that came out in December, if I remember right. So I got to see
It was
the
November,
first night,
but
and
it was
the
still
weather.
there, December.
Oh yeah, November.
Yeah.
That's right. I can't remember. I'm so
That's
wrong.
okay.
I was actually
Dates get run
11.
together.
So it was appropriate because I was 11 when the first movie came out.
Yeah.
You don't make me feel old. But that's beside the point.
Well, my job is done for the night.
That's okay. That's beside the point.
So
Young at heart.
So we've all talked about how we found Potter and how we got into it and how it consumed our lives. What are some of our favorites in the story? Like, why do you think this story just, because there's so many different fantasy stories out there, but why did Harry Potter, why do you think, for each of us, why do we all think Harry Potter just kind of became that one thing that we all gravitated toward? Like we all talked about, I read the first book, I read the second book, and we just ate it up, and we were hooked, and it was just, it was like the best thing ever. So, why don't we go around and talk about, I don't know, maybe that's too deep of a question, or just kind of our favorite stuff with it.
I really like her descriptions of the stuff in like how she built the world building she does.
Mm-hmm.
Like, 'cause even like right from chapter 1, there's all this stuff about Vernon working at how he works at the drill company, and he faces away from the window so he didn't see the owl swooping around, and because of all the excitement in the wizarding world, and yada yada yada, and him trying to remember about Harry's name, and all that.
And it
stuff.
all,
Like, right from chapter 1, there's all this detail about the Dursleys' lives, and
it all feels
relationships with the Potters and all that, and his encounters with wizards who are celebrating the defeat of Voldemort, and yeah.
It all feels so very real. Like, it's so grounded in reality, yet there is this sense of the fantastic and of imagination and whimsy behind it. It reminded me a lot of Roald Dahl, like Matilda and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and James and the Giant Peach, where it was, these terrible relatives that this poor boy has to grow up with, yet he's so grounded in reality, but his world is so unreal. But it's still, like everyone says, I'm still waiting for my Hogwarts letter, because we all feel like Hogwarts is somewhere, and we could, if we were just lucky enough to be born wizards, and we could go learn there and get sorted into houses and play Quidditch and get lost on our first day in school. Like, it just felt
playing Quidditch. There are university Quidditch leagues, quote unquote.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Where people like brooms and run around with brooms in between their legs and pretend.
Oh yeah.
Quidditch. And my cousin plays on his university's Quidditch team.
Nice.
Nice.
So, like, it's permeated our culture to that degree.
It really has, and it's just And working at the library, and I've noticed, and maybe this was there before Harry Potter, but I didn't really see it. But I might have been too young to notice it. But I noticed that as the generation that grew up with Harry Potter got older, we tended to, we still wanted to read books. We still wanted to find those amazing stories, and I think the especially the children's book and young adult book industry really kind of took that challenge on and started looking for things that would capture our imagination, that things that we would stay up till all hours of the night still reading. Even as we got older, we still wanted those kinds of books, and I think it's only helped the state, especially of children's literature. And I maintain still that kids' books kids have the best books to read. That's why I want to be a children's librarian. a teen librarian, there's just so much there, and a lot of librarians, not a lot, but some of them are like, oh, more fantasy, more this, like, can't we get something else? And I'm like, well, that's, we're the Harry Potter generation. We want fantasy. We want well-written fantasy is what I'm getting at. And we've created that demand, and that demand is sort of trickled down through adults and kids, and even the littlest kids. Just they want that. They love it, and it's the best thing ever.
George R.R. Martin has this quote about how fantasy is so much like more colorful and more amazing than real life. Like, Chrissy, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
I know. I can't quote it verbatim, but I know what you're talking about.
Exact quote off the top of my head, but it's all about how fantasy is so much richer.
Like fantasy tastes like something really wonderful, and reality is rice and beans or something like that.
And like lapis lazuli, fantasy is lapis lazuli, and all these bright colors, and real life is like the drab beige sandstone.
Yeah. Reality is going home and paying your bills, and fantasy is going home and playing with your pet unicorn or something like that. I don't know.
It's stuff along those lines. Fantasy is better,
and that's why people love it so much, and that's why it still is. Even though dystopia has kind of edged it out a little bit, there's still so much. Like fairy tales are a big thing. Like in books, like fairy tale retellings are huge, and definitely. Like I had a little girl today. I was at work today. She came in and she's like, I want to find a book that I will like. And I was like, well, what do you like to read? She's like, well, I read Harry Potter and I love it. And I was like, okay, let me show you. I went to the bookshelf and showed her, okay, have you read this fantasy novel? She's like, oh yeah, I've read that one. Well, have you read this one? I read that one. Have you read this one? I've read that one. It took me a little while. Like this girl, she had read so much. I read, and I know the kids section pretty well, and I was even struggling to find her something that she hadn't already read. We finally found her a few things, and some of it was fairy tale retelling, some of it was original fantasy, some of it was kind of a mixture of both. And she left with her little book bag just full of stuff. Harry Potter. She loved it, and she wanted more of the same thing. And to see out of hand, just because it's imagination, it's whimsical. Kids need to have more reality. It's like no, give them fantasy, but they will learn reality from fantasy because Potter it was the fight between good and evil. Like how do you teach a child how to accept others for who they are? You show them Hagrid and how he, some people say bad things about him. You show them Hermione, who excels at everything in school. Her own quote-unquote fault is that she was born of Muggle parents, and her, especially Draco Malfoy calls her a mudblood, which is a degrading slur against Muggle-borns. But she just comes back and says, and she knows where she stands. She knows where her value is, and just because some dopey Slytherin kid says, "Oh, you're not from this right group, therefore I must hate you," she doesn't. She just lets it roll off her back. She has her friends. She knows what to do, and she's awesome for it. And you show that to kids, and they gain a lot of confidence out of that. And it's remarkable.
Well, and on the subject of Muggleborns at Hogwarts, there's like this whole, it's sort of like a meme of like Muggleborns making pop culture references and other Muggleborns joining in. And
I've seen that, like in astronomy class, they say space, the final frontier, and then they start quoting the whole
and
Star
then
Trek.
The one where pureblood calls a Muggleborn mudblood, and the Muggleborn like licks their hand, wipes the Slytherin's face, and is like, "There's the we will rock you," like not on your face, you big this
Yes,
face.
I've seen that one. I love that one.
I love that sort of thing. It's It's great.
Yeah, and that's another big thing is fandom just took Harry Potter and they made it their own, and that was like the.
And there's a whole lot more like in the fandom. There's a whole lot more diversity, like with LGBTQ, neurodiverse, like people with like autism spectrum disorders being accommodated via magic.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen some of that. But and like a friend of mine, I don't know if you've heard of the Harry Potter Alliance. Actually, it's a coworker of mine, and he runs the local chapter of that. And then that's about services because you reach out and you do service projects. Like they've done. What have they done? They've done like food drives and clothing drives
and book drives and trying to
book drive. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing too. So it's like it's become bigger than just a bunch of kids love to read this book.
Right.
It's fans, being people being better because they've read this book, which I think is remarkable in itself.
And
anyway.
they've got their own convention. They got LeakyCon, which takes place in various places. This next coming up one, they're having it at in Orlando to celebrate in honor of Diagon Alley opening, and in fact, I think they're renting out the park for a night. If I remember correctly, I think I saw that. So I mean, it's a Harry Potter convention. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's LeakyCon. It's Harry Potter fans getting together. They'll have cosplay, and they'll have like the Potter Puppet Pals. If you've seen their YouTube videos, the mysterious ticking noise.
Oh yes.
I remember when Mysterious Ticking Noise came out, and I laughed. I had to get my brothers and sisters and say, "Come here, you gotta watch this." And they weren't as big into Harry Potter as I was, but they sat there and they laughed and laughed and laughed. We watched it over and over again. It was fantastic.
Every now and then, I'll just kind of be sitting at my computer, and I'll just be like, Snape, Severus, Snape. It gets more difficult as you try to do all the parts by yourself because you're like, Dumbledore!
I actually have
Harry Potter.
I have Wizard Inc. memorized and I can recite it. I'm that weird. Sometimes I do that, like just to myself in the car or in the shower. I just
Dumbledore.
Woe betide the person next to me in traffic who sees me going, "My parents are dead. My life sucks. I can't hold down a girlfriend." And I'm always surrounded by bleeping goblins and bleep all the time. I mean, what the bleep? But it's magic, Harry. The goblins are magical. Well, I'm tired of having nightmares of Dobby eating my skin clean off every night. I can't take it anymore. I quit magic. But what about fighting you-know-who? It's all up to you now, Ron. But no. Come on, Ron, go get him. Ah. I'm going to stop there. Because I think you guys, you get the idea. Look it up on YouTube.
Yeah. Watch that, and then it's like, watch the mysterious ticking noise, and then walk up to a random family member or coworker and say, "I found the source of the ticking. It's a pipe bomb!
Pipe bomb!
Yay!
Yay! Boom!"
There's actually a Doctor Who version out where the ticking noise is a Dalek.
Oh.
I saw that one too. That was a good one.
You've got something when a fandom spoofs another fandom. Yeah. And there's
I'd just like to mention that my brother is nearby and he's loving this entire conversation.
Oh my gosh. Hi, Michelle's brother.
Hi.
And, I mean, you've got...
He said hi.
I mean, it's got its own... the fandom's got its own branch of music called Wizard Rock.
Oh yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I actually did see the Remus Lupins live in concert when I was in college, and I got his autograph and everything. It was so much fun.
Nice.
It was just sort of a random chance we found, and I was roommates with a friend of mine she's the one that she says she wants to send in feedback, or I told her to send in feedback because she's been listening to the podcast and everything, and I went with her, and it was just sort of a random chance we found out about it, that he was going to be in the town where we were going to school, and it was just so cool. Like, we walked in there, I'd never, outside of like a movie release or a book release, I'd never been around that many people who were fans of Harry Potter and were actually dressed up. And it was so much fun. And I'd heard all these songs before, but to hear them live, I believe this was probably even my first concert, although concert I use in a loose term. But it was like in the basement of this, I don't remember if it was a bookstore or just sort of an independent hipster kind of Hot Topic knockoff store. I don't remember, but it was so cool. It was so weird, but it was awesome. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Remus Lupin. He was a one man band. He's got a YouTube channel, and now he does stuff for like Hunger Games and Doctor Who, and he does reviews. His name's Alex Carpenter, and he's fantastic. I think he was my favorite of all the Wizard Rock groups that came out of that.
Oh. Trying to think what else. There's the fan made the Harry Potter musical.
Uh-huh.
And then there's the sequel which stars a Darren Criss of Glee fame.
That's where he got his start, pretty much, if I remember right. And that spawned a bunch of memes too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hufflepuffs are good finders. Harry Potter. It's sort of just grown and become its own thing forever.
One of the librarians that I help out with, they haven't finished it yet, but he was been telling us that they're doing a Harry Potter rap about Hufflepuffs. And he was giving a few voices, and it sounds hilarious. And I'm gonna have to tell him to give me like a recording of it or something, and I can probably share it with you guys. It sounds so funny, and I'm like, if I was brave enough, I would do something like that, but no.
I used to write folk songs for Harry Potter, but I don't know what happened to all of them. They probably weren't very good.
There's a group called Not Literally that does like song parodies for fandom. Like, they take a popular song and do a parody of it fandom related, and they've got a bunch of Harry Potter related ones, like for House Pride ones. They've got this Ask Hogwarts series that I haven't watched, but it's like, apparently they ask Hogwarts students questions. If it's anything like their Ask the Doctor one, it's like where they get questions and then students answer the questions. So, yeah.
Interesting. Holly, we haven't heard much from you. What do you think of all of this? Not to put you on the spot, but
how have you expanded?
I've heard some of the track rock, which is good. The Puppet Pals, fantastic. And just, listening to all the podcasts that were out there when the books were coming out. I mean, Leaky Cauldron was one, Mugglecast, and listening to all the theories to see, is this going to happen, or is my theory going to be proven right, or wrong, and the whole is Snape good or evil debate. I can still remember that.
Oh, I remember that. I was actually quite disappointed in the whole Snape thing, but that was because I love James Potter so much, and I wanted to see more of him, and then he turned out to be just in that one instance, he was kind of a jerk. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I know there's got to be more to it than that.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a book actually that I purchased that came out right before book 7 came out, and I still have the book. It's called The Great Snape Debate.
Yes,
and
I've got that floating around
and
somewhere too.
it's a good book. It's the book itself is a bit weird because the book's actually split in half, and
It's a
half of
flip
it, and half of it is the case for Snape's guilt, and you flip it over and turn it around, and it's the case for Snape's innocence. And even reading that, I mean, they try to give a good case for both sides, but they try to give, like examples of, lines and, the way Snape's described in the book that leans one way or the other. And even reading that, even though it's supposed to be, weighted evenly for both sides, the case for Snape's innocent actually sounded more plausible to me. So I was very excited when that turned out to be the case. Because Severus Snape is my favorite Harry Potter character. Besides the fact that Alan Rickman is just amazing and he played that part so well that just,
Yes.
I think Snape was, greatly underappreciated personally. But I have a shirt that I bought before Book 7 came out, and it's just Snape and it says friend or foe on it, and I wore that when I went and picked up Book 7, and I was all like, when I finished reading, and I'm like, yes, friend. I don't have to burn this shirt.
It took me a long time to really come to terms with the fact that yes, Snape is a good guy, but that's because I was like totally all over Gryffindor.
Yeah.
When I was like, Gryffindor was my thing. It was my house. Professor McGonagall. Oh, I love her. I have the biggest girl crush on McGonagall, and by extension Maggie Smith, because I love her portrayal in the movie. I liked her before too, but then she was Professor McGonagall, and I was like, that's it. She's awesome. I love her forever. Yeah. And I loved in Book 7 that McGonagall got to, she went toe to toe with Snape, and she was in the battle and right in the middle of it all. And even before that, in Book 5, like one of my favorite parts of Book 5 is when Peeves the Poltergeist is raising havoc and mayhem, and because Umbridge is in charge, and everything's going crazy. So he's like unscrewing something, I can't remember what it is, and McGonagall goes by and she goes, the chandelier, candelabra or something, and she goes, it unscrews the other way. And I was like, that is so, because it's McGonagall. She's straight-laced, she goes by the rules, she's fair, but can be strict, but here she is, undermining Umbridge, who is her superior.
Well,
only by title.
When
she doesn't like Umbridge.
Yeah.
When Harry talked back in Umbridge's class and got sent to McGonagall for like punishment or whatever, she gave him a biscuit. She offered him a biscuit.
Yeah.
So it's
and just over and over, she's like, have a biscuit, Potter.
Look, that McGonagall does not like Umbridge.
Oh yeah, and the power struggle between McGonagall and Umbridge is gloriously epic, and I love it.
Yes,
just, especially in those. You love her from the start, because when Harry during the flying lesson, and he catches the remember all, and McGonagall hauls him off, and he thinks, oh, she's going to punish me, I'm going to be sent back home, and she goes, oh, here, Oliver Wood, I have a new seeker for you, because Gryffindor has to win the House Cup, I'm tired of losing to Snape. I'm just like, thank you, yes, beautiful, perfect, lovely, wonderful, and I can't gush enough about Professor McGonagall. And then when I was on Pottermore and I got to the part where it had all her backstory, I just loved her even more.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic. It's just wonderful. Just my favorite. Because it was so heartbreaking, so heart-wrenching, but yet it's made so much sense for the character. And that's the other part, like I was talking earlier about how real this world is like you feel like these characters are real because they have all of this backstory and all this background, and they are, for all intents and purposes, real people with real lives and real stories, even if they are fictional. But
yeah,
it's still so impressive and just so good.
Yeah, I love now, after reading the books and seeing the movies and stuff, and, reading, stuff that's come out since, J.K. Rowling explaining things, and, watching behind the scenes stuff and getting on Pottermore and all that, to go back and reread the books and rewatch the movies, and you see stuff that you didn't catch the first time, and it's like, oh my goodness, especially, and, I don't want to sound like I'm repeating myself, but, like I said, Snape is my favorite. To know, the story, know Snape's story now, and know that Alan Rickman knew Snape's story from the get-go. He was the only person that knew, at least as far as Snape's story's line goes, the entire thing, even before the books were written, because J.K. Rowling wanted him to have that in his mind as he's portraying Snape in the movies. So if you watch now and you watch scenes with Snape in him, even if he's not the focus of the scene, you watch him in the background and you watch his eyes and the way he carries himself, and it's like, oh yeah, I totally see it now.
I remember that. I remember that bit of news when, because he was at an interview for some other movie or something, and an interviewer had asked him about Snape, and he just refused to answer the question. And the way that the headline in that story went, it made it sound like, oh, he was just being a jerk and refusing to ask questions. But no, it was because he knew, like J.K. Rowling had told him where his character was going, and he didn't want to spoil it for everybody, because he knew if he said anything, it would be all over the place, and it would, and that would not be a good thing. But it was just, which credits the incredible acting cast that they got for the movies. I mean, can you believe just how lucky they were to get that many? I mean, a lot of the actors were, they wanted to impress their kids or, grandkids, nieces, and nephews, and
some of them were handpicked. They knew who they wanted for some of these parts to begin with. Like, I know, like Robbie Coltrane, they wanted for Hagrid.
Yeah, Robbie Coltrane.
So, right away. So that's just, I mean, the casting is just spot on for everybody. It's unfortunate that they had to recast Dumbledore, after the first couple of movies, because, he passed away. In between there, but but all besides that,
they were lucky. They were lucky that was I guess that was probably a good thing. I was the only one they had to ever recast.
Yeah, which I think after 2, I think it's unfortunate that he passed, but I think where Dumbledore went, especially with book 6, that I think Michael Gambon's portrayal of Dumbledore, I think, was better. And the way he was doing it, I think, worked better because, Richard Harris, I think he seemed a bit almost too nice and grandfatherly. And where Dumbledore went there towards the end with, in book 6 and all that, and knowing that he was going to die and all that, I don't know if he could have. He may have, because I'm not familiar with his body of work, so I can't speak. I just know him from his portrayal of Dumbledore in the 2 movies, but it's just, I think if they had to replace him, that I think Michael Gambon was a good choice. I think he was able to take Dumbledore where Dumbledore needed to go. So.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Oh yeah, it makes total sense. Yeah. It's all good.
And it's just, especially the Golden Trio, as everybody likes to call them, just...
Oh, yes.
Spot on, just all of them. I just want to give them all hugs and say thank you.
And then with the cast...
And now they've all...
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Finish it.
Oh, I was going to say, and then that they've all gone on to have their own careers and do things there. So that's impressive, and none of them have landed in jail.
Yeah.
Yes.
Knocked on wood. As
well,
what were you going to say, Holly?
the casting that they did for Remus Lupin and then Mad-Eye Moody.
Oh, yes.
I mean, just the scene, with him turning, with Mad-Eye Moody turning, even though I think he was Barty Crouch Jr. and Polyjuice, but turning Draco Malfoy into that ferret. Bouncing him up and down, and, a ball. I was just like, oh my gosh.
You wanna talk about favorite scenes? There's a good candidate right there.
Because I think we all wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think we all wanted
that to happen.
We all wanted to be Hermione when she punched Malfoy in the face.
Yes.
And we all wanted to be Mrs. Weasley when she took it on the Bellatrix and
Yes.
Oh,
gave her
that
a
was
whoop.
because
my
it's
daughter.
Mrs. Weasley and she's sort of
Yeah.
she's this she's a mom. She's
Oh,
she's
yes.
a housewife. She's cheerful. She's lovely. She's she loves everybody. She does have a stern side, but then just to see her take it, and Bellatrix Lestrange she's this a little baddie, but kind of glamorous at the same time. Oh yeah, well that's not
Again, the
but
casting.
You cannot get two different characters than Molly Weasley and Bellatrix Lestrange. Like they're so different, but to see them go toe to toe, and for Molly Weasley to take her out,
Yes.
in the end after she threatens Ginny, and I mean at that point Bellatrix had also violently threatened Hermione. Molly hadn't seen it, but this whole time you're just like, oh, someone's got to take out Bellatrix. Who's gonna do it? And who's gonna do it? And we all thought, okay, Neville could do it. No, it's Molly Weasley, and I'm like, that's acceptable, more than acceptable. I will take it. That is fantastic.
And just to echo on with Molly, I mean, how she took Harry in and accepted him as one of her own, and even Hermione. I can still remember from the movie and the book where, they crashed the car. She's yelling at her own kids, and she's not, oh, Harry, nice to see you. She still does a little bit of the stern mother act, but she's more ticked at her own kids for putting Harry into danger.
There's this whole thing about how she knows he comes from an abusive household, and how kids from abusive households automatically assume any yelling is directed at him. So she's deliberately making sure she knows she's not blaming him, that this yelling is not directed at him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I saw a post on that on Tumblr about that, and like how she's that good of a mother.
Mm-hmm. She is, she's just, and also like taking in Hermione. Like Hermione, she comes from a good family. Her parents, took care of everything. But you also get the feeling that because they are Muggles, there are some things that they don't quite understand. It's like there's that part in book 5 where she and Ron get their prefect letters, and Hermione says, asks Harry, can I borrow Hedwig? I want to send, tell my mom and dad that I've been made prefect, because this is something they can understand. Like they're supportive of her, but they don't quite get everything. But here she is being taken in by a wizarding family like the Weasleys, and they understand magic, and she wants to understand, and she wants to be part of this, because now she has adopted this culture as her own, and this is the life that she wants to lead. And she still loves her parents and everything, but there's just some things they just don't get, or they can't understand, even though I'm sure they tried.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very proud of their daughter but it's it's a lot to take in for parents to take in. And then the Weasleys, just you gotta love them. And Molly and Arthur, I mean, bless Arthur Weasley.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh,
everything Muggle.
I know, oh my gosh. The Weasleys are the perfect wizarding family. I mean, they're like I said, it's that Harry Potter's just laced with whimsy and the fantasticalness, and the Weasleys encapsulate that as normal, quote unquote, in normal life as you possibly can. And, everything is just, it's so, magic is just so normal to all of them. Like when they go to the Quidditch World Cup, and Harry's looking at the tent that they're in, and he's like, this is huge. And Ron's just like, yeah, no big deal. But Ron is fascinated by how telephones work and how they're like, how does the post office work, and Muggle pictures don't move, and that's just so weird. And how does soccer, like how can they don't understand a sport where nobody's allowed to fly and all that kind of stuff. So it's just fun to contrast the Muggle culture and the Wizarding culture, and the Weasleys are just that window into that. And it's, again, goes back to how well written these characters are and how well the world has been built. And you cannot give enough praise for that. Mm-hmm. It's just fun.
I think that's probably, at least for me, and probably a lot of people, was a big draw, and is a big draw, is if you take out all the magic and the fantastical, the people are so ingrained with reality and the dynamics with everything. It's like, it's easy enough for us to identify. You've got, Ron, who comes from a large family, doesn't have a lot of money, and Hermione is the geeky bookworm, and Harry's grown up, with family that doesn't seem to really like him, and he's awkward and gangly, and his hair is all messy, and he wears glasses, and, you've got Malfoy, who's rich, but doesn't, is a snob, and, you've got all these dynamics, families, and falling in love, and getting an education, and growing up, and becoming your own person, that sort of thing. I think that's what is really people are easily identify with, and then you just throw magic on top of it, and it's like icing on the cake.
Pretty much. Yeah. And like you were listing those characters, like, and then later you get more characters like Luna Lovegood. I adore Luna Lovegood just because she's her own person. She does her own thing, and
she doesn't care.
She's a Ravenclaw,
and
she doesn't care.
She's very comfortable with it.
And she's very comfortable with it, and like people are saying, oh, her dad publishes the Quibbler, and that's that trashy tabloid or whatever, and she's just like, nope, it's legitimate. I'm proud. I'm proud that he does that. And how much can we praise Neville for everything?
Oh,
and just
the
how
whole podcast him.
I know, we seriously could just where he starts out from and where he ends up. And then Ginny Weasley, I think Ginny was my favorite from Chamber of Secrets. I didn't know how she was going to be important, but I just knew that I just got this feeling that she was going to be. I don't know if like there were clues left behind there, or I wanted to see more of her, and I was so glad that we got to see her kind of come into her own and come out from, because she had a lot of the same things Ron did, where they had all these older brothers and they'd done all these things, and Ginny was, she was the only girl, and she was the youngest, but she just wanted to go out and make her own mark on things, and I love Ginny. She's great.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, characters, wonderful. We love them.
Yes. And like how you guys were saying about like how when you strip down, you take away all the magic and it's just people. That's what I think got me, what I fell in love with. Cause I love fantasy and all that stuff, but I like how there's this bunch of kids about my age. Despite going through the whole with Voldemort and all that other stuff, but they were going through the same stuff that I was going through. Like going to school, having homework, fighting with friends, trying to date, and I thought it was so cool that, and like I could connect more than like most books I've read, where I enjoyed, but I couldn't really connect with the characters because I wasn't going through the same things they were going through. But with like Harry Potter and all them, I can go with like a basic. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain.
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's identifiable is what it is. So,
yeah.
So. Well, like I said, you throw magic on top of it, and it's like, oh, that's just cool. So.
Mm-hmm. Everything is cooler with magic.
Yes. So.
Yep.
Even sports. Well, I love sports anyway. But then you add magical sports.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Oh yeah.
I think I'd be
so
terrible.
wanna be on
I think
Quidditch
I'd
team when I was
personally
kid,
be.
though.
I'd be terrible at Quidditch, but I'd watch. I'd be
I
sitting
would
in the
too.
booth doing commentary with Luna.
Oh, Lee Jordan's commentary in book 3. Oh my gosh, I love the Quidditch matches.
I
in
love
book
his
3.
commentary.
And then McGonagall had
You-
him
I
come
was-
up and
That's another great McGonagall scene. Is after she spent the whole Quidditch final chewing out Lee Jordan for his biased commentary, but then she goes out and shakes her finger at Malfoy for holding on to Harry's broomstick so he can't catch the snitch, and it's just like, oh my gosh. Because she gets into it too, and you wanna tick off McGonagall, beat her team, or try to beat her team, or cheat trying to beat her team.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my!
Yes.
So
So Harry Potter,
Yeah.
how much do we love?
yes, I still
Oh, and another thing.
I still shake my head at just. It seems like yesterday I started reading the books, and now it's been so
I
long
know.
since the last book came out and the movies, finished. I've got that app on my phone that Time Hop, that it'll go back through your Instagram and
Oh,
Twitter and be like,
Oh,
okay, this
yeah.
is what you tweeted a year ago and 2 years ago and 3 years ago, and like I think last week I looked at it and I was showing my tweets about how I was going to go see Deathly Hallows Part 2, and I'm like, that was so long ago. I was like, I'm so sad.
That was like last week.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
But it lives on. We're still getting
Oh, we got Pottermore.
stuff on Pottermore, which is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
So.
which I was talking to somebody at the library. I can't remember what day it was. I think it was Thursday, because someone was talking about, oh, did you hear about the new short story that for Harry Potter? And I'm like, yes, I've heard about it. And I was kind of explained to him what Pottermore was, and that because J.K. Rowling had all these notes and all this backstory and all this stuff that would never fit into an actual Harry Potter book, but this is a way for her to publish that to the fans and to make that accessible so that we can have that and enjoy it, because this has been going on since Pottermore started.
Mm-hmm.
And you get along and you see all these different things and just so many cool little tidbits, which I think she'd kind of been doing that on her website before. Like you'd have those little games and things that she would devise, and you'd have the there was the do not disturb sign on the door, but when that do not disturb sign came down, everyone's like, okay, we got to figure out how to open this, because this will have it'll have a chapter title, or it'll have a drawing or a snippet of a deleted scene from a book or something that we could salivate over while we're waiting for the next book to come out. Or I think even the title of book 7 was released that way on her website. Like you had to do the puzzle and find out what the title was. And I remember the Harry Potter lexicon had the whole thing mapped out of how to get all the little Easter eggs and little prizes on her website. And I would actually cheat and go on that one, because I did not have the patience. I'm like, someone else has already done this, I'm going to go do it.
Yes.
But I still
tried
did it
getting all that stuff by
anyway.
myself. I tried getting most of that stuff, but then I kind of gave up and cheated and looked like, oh. And I kind of did that with Pottermore too. Like, I would go through all the chapters, try to find as much as I can, and then I just get lost and cheat. Look at the comments, like, oh, okay, that's where everything is.
And speaking of
I
the
will
houses,
say
I
this for-
think we're all sorted into the same house, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Were we?
We are all
Ravenclaw?
All
We are all
Ravenclaws.
Ravenclaws.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
That's only because mine changed.
Because you were originally Slytherin.
I
weren't you,
was
Rachel?
originally a Slytherin, but I forgot my login and the email that I'd used when I made my original account. is closed, so it's not like I could do a what's my password because I wouldn't be able to get it. So I ended up making a new account a couple weeks ago, and so I had to get resorted. And I don't know if the questions that they use for sorting have changed since I originally joined years ago.
There's a whole bunch of sorting questions, and you get asked a random selection.
That would be it then. So
I guess your sorting depends on what the random selection of questions is and how you answer those questions.
Yeah. So I was originally sorted as a Slytherin,
so it is possible to get sorted into different houses if you make different accounts.
Yeah. So, but I got resorted, and now I'm in Ravenclaw, which is okay because it puts me in the same house as everybody else and Luna. So
yes.
Good that way.
Mm-hmm. I've always kind of considered myself kind of a Griffin Claw anyway. kind of
yeah, and actually,
which is fine.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I joined Pottermore like back in the beta because I got an email or something like that, and same thing happened with Rachel, and I was actually Gryffindor in that one, I remember.
Huh. Oh. Yeah, I used to play. I had the PC games for Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets. I could never beat Chamber of Secrets, but I'll say this for Pottermore. It was. I think it's a lot more fun than the video game that EA put out however long ago that was. Just because I don't have to sneak through the Slytherin common room and have to hide behind the pillars just so and not get caught. As I had to do in Chamber of Secrets, that was like impossible to pass. I was like, who came up with this game? After like 20 failed attempts on that one, I was like, I quit. And then I got onto Pottermore, and I'm like, oh, this is so much better. And there's actual canon tidbit background information.
I know,
J.K. Rowling herself.
I love when I find bits of new information about a character or a family or something.
It's so like the two that are my favorite are Professor McGonagall's backstory and Remus Lupin's backstory. It's like with Lupin, we could kind of guess what happened with him based on what's in the book, but there's just so much more detail, and it's so interesting and just so fascinating.
Talk about stuff that's been revealed on Pottermore, like the wand material information.
Oh, wand lore, yeah.
Yes, because according, like, I have a phoenix feather core in my wand, and that's apparently really rare. And those who have it can do like, if they work at it, can do really good magic. And my wand wood is maple, which apparently is a kind of wood that's attracted to folks who like to travel. So I would love to be able to like just travel the world. So that's like the perfect wand for me.
That is perfect for you.
I can't remember what kind of wand I got on Pottermore.
Well, you could go
I'll have to log on and look. So.
I'm actually logging on to mine right now. Oh, it's been forever since I've...
My actual wand that I have here at home is a replica of Severus Snape's wand.
Okay, the wand I have on Pottermore is made out of pear with the core of a unicorn.
Yeah, and if you click on the kind of wood, you get it directs you straight to the wand wood page. So pear is very far down for one thing because it's in alphabetical order.
I have an elder
wood. I got pear. This golden toned wood produces wands of splendid magical powers, which give of their best in the hands of the warm-hearted, the generous, and the wise. Possessors of pear wands are, in my experience, usually popular and well-respected. I do not know of a single instance where a pair wand has been discovered in the possession of a dark witch or wizard. Pair wands are among the most resilient, and I have often observed that they may still present a remarkable appearance of newness even after many years of hard use.
Cool.
Nice. So, my wand is dragon heartstring, and it's made of elder wood,
Nice.
which is extremely unlucky.
You got it.
I got an elder wand, and it's very unlucky, and I was like, oh,
Wow.
well, thanks. So, it says, the truth is that only a highly unusual person will find their perfect match in elder, and on the rare occasion when such a pairing occurs, I take it as certain that the witch or wizard in question is marked out for a special destiny. Take that as you will.
That's fine.
But I have a dragon core, which I'm kind of cool. I'm really cool, but...
Dragon heartstrings produce wands with the most power and which are capable of the most flamboyant spells.
Dragon wands tend to learn more quickly than other types. Well, I learn quickly things, so yeah, there we go. But it's the easiest to turn to the dark arts.
So we know that Holly is probably never going to turn evil on us, but Chrissy is questionable.
I know. I'm gonna be one of those mad scientist, evil scientist types because I'm from Ravenclaw.
Yeah.
My wand. I'm sorry. Was I'm going?
Yep. No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm still
Go
signing
ahead.
in.
My wand is made out of the core is a phoenix feather, and the wood is red oak.
Red oak.
Let's see
Yeah,
here.
the wand lore is
Where is
just
my- there it is.
fascinating.
Absolutely
Yes.
fascinating. I love, just, there's so much. I'd love to just go through the different kinds of woods, but usually I end up just skipping to mine.
Oh yeah. You're proud of the one that you have, even though it's this online game that's yours, and how can you not love it?
Come on.
Let's see.
Anything else you want to talk about the world of Harry Potter?
Do we want to mention the HogwartsIsHere.com? Have it just
I
Yeah, go for it.
there is basically where you can actually enroll in an online version of Hogwarts. So it's like Hogwarts, of course, distance education kind of thing. And you can log in, and I think you decide which house you're going to be in, and then you can sign up for courses and do assignments. And so there's, and they've got year 2 up, but you have to complete all the year 1 courses before you can advance to year 2. So, before you can advance to, so I signed up a while ago, but I just recently signed up for my first course, which is the year 1 astronomy course. So,
And what were you saying earlier? Like you do essays, you actually do
yeah, well,
homework.
the first
for these kind of
assignment,
things?
I don't know about any of the other assignments, but the first assignment in the astronomy course is an essay on my favorite constellation. So, you have to do 3 paragraphs. Paragraph 1 is which constellation you've chosen and why, and a bit of basic information about that constellation. Paragraph 2 is a retelling of the creation myth of behind why that constellation is there. And then paragraph 3, you have to create your own entirely new creation myth for that constellation. And it has to be at least 200 words. So
It's probably the closest we'll ever get to actually attending Hogwarts.
and there's like you can read through like the lessons. Like I've only done like the week one lesson, read the week one lesson because I wanted like do lesson then assignments for that week and then before advancing to the next week. So but like lesson one is the introduction and it talks about like what exactly is astronomy? Astronomy is the study of our universe. This includes celestial objects, the phenomena that originate in space, and the physics, chemistry, and evolution of these objects. Muggles consider astronomy to be a natural science. For year one, we'll be focusing on our solar system. Earth is located within the Milky Way galaxy. It is comprised of 8 planets, all of which orbit the sun. This simply just means that all 8 planets travel around the sun in an elliptical rotation. All the planets move. So it's like they're talking about the orbits of the planet, and then talking about the sun orbiting the galactic center, and they're talking about the constellations, and there's like little things that indicate that this is like not just the talking about Muggles, but like that indicate that this is a course for magical students, like for a course that you would take at a magical school kind of thing. So it's just little things.
It sounds very.
It's really cool.
Sounds like you need to. If you wanted to really get into it, it would take a lot of dedication and time. But I mean, if you really, if you put the time into it, it sounds like the payoff
it's really cool.
Yeah.
So you should at least check that out, and we'll put a link to the site in the show notes, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We'll link all this stuff up
in the show notes. You can check it out if you want. Let us know if you do, how it goes, what the first course you sign up for is, kind of thing. Because I chose to start with this,
definitely.
But you can choose any of the 7 first-year courses, and you can sign up for as many as you want, as many or as few as you want. I'm starting with 1 just to make it a bit easier on myself, so I don't have to, so just kind of ease into it.
Yeah.
So
that sounds really cool.
Yeah. And if you're on Pottermore, feel free to send us your name so we can all play together. So that was one of my things with Pottermore the first time. Was
Pottermore usernames in the show notes as well.
That was one of my things. I think the first time I signed up, I didn't really play it because I didn't have anybody to play with. So
yeah, that's part of my problem. Why I haven't really played much because I'm like I don't know because I've explored it a little bit, but I'm like feels like you need friends to play with and to go back and forth, and I'm just kind of like I'm really shy. I'm not really good at asking random people, will you be my friend? But now I know people that are on there. And
exactly.
Get on there and do the thing.
The more the merrier.
Exactly. So. And since we're all Ravenclaws, we can all get the get our house points.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway. So Harry Potter.
Yes. As I coined it last week, the fandom that lives.
The fandom that lives, and the fandom that introduced me and a lot of other people of my generation to fandom at large. Like
it's the gateway fandom for our generation.
It really is. It really is. Like the first time I ever heard of Doctor Who, even peripherally, was when David Tennant became the Doctor, and it was announced on the Leaky Cauldron that he was in the show, and I was just like, okay, that's the guy who played Barty Crouch. He was there for like 1 or 2 scenes. oh, that's an interesting thing. I was still hyped up on Harry Potter. But I had heard of it, and I knew it peripherally, and then
Harry Potter until after I watched Doctor Who.
Yeah, I didn't make the connection either.
Fixated on Barty Crouch Jr., and then we both got into Doctor Who, and yeah. It was
so
like
that's how I first heard of it, but it wasn't.
Kind of licks the corner of his mouth.
Oh gosh.
We kind of got fixated a little bit on that. I don't know why.
I don't think you were the only ones.
Yeah.
I seem to remember a swath of fans that were like Barty Crouch and that tongue. Oh my gosh. But yeah, that was out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I heard of Doctor Who, and I'm like, oh, there was someone from Harry Potter that's in there.
And now there's been a lot of people who are in Harry Potter that have been on Doctor Who. So
yeah, I think that's kind of
you can play bingo
British
or
actors.
Yeah. I always like to say that the
think
British acting
actors,
pool seems to be quite small, and everybody seems to have been in everything.
On Tumblr about how there's only like 12 actors in Britain.
Yeah.
That's
and one door.
Yeah. So.
Just kidding, Britain. We love you.
Yeah.
You give us all of our favorite stuff.
We don't mean it.
Yep.
So.
It's just too bad Benedict Cumberbatch wasn't in Harry Potter. You can still get into Doctor Who, but
yes.
They are doing that. J.K. Rowling is writing that Newt Scamander movie for Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Him. So Benedict Cumberbatch still has a chance to be in a Harry Potter related film.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I'll cross our fingers.
Maybe, hopefully.
I'd be all for that.
See that? Yes.
You hear that? You hear that? Casting people.
Cumberbatch for Newt Scamander. Do it.
Really? Because my favorite fan cast for Newt is Matt Smith. Because he hasn't been in Harry Potter either.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm liking this.
Yeah. Like, okay, let's get both of them. Let's get some costumes and maybe some sets and some lighting, and we'll let everybody vote. We'll do it that way.
And then, I'm certain there are other characters to cast in that movie.
So well, that's true.
Maybe they both can be in it.
That's true.
They both can be in it.
Yeah.
No.
Oh God.
That just gives us something to look forward to. Our snippets of stuff from J.K. Rowling on Pottermore, and knowing that movie is coming eventually.
Yep. So. And then the fan scenes rolling around Tumblr too is good.
Fan-made stuff is really good.
Yeah.
The Marauders.
Yeah. So I think
I need to watch that.
One that happened like in America after the Battle of Hogwarts kind of thing. I can't remember what it was called or the exact details, but it's out there somewhere.
It is out there to be found.
Mm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I think you could search Harry Potter online all day and all night and just still not barely scratch the surface of what is out there is available. It's everywhere, and it's inspired a lot of people, and so many people are in their chosen professions because of Harry Potter. I can definitely say that I'm a librarian because I was so into Harry Potter, and it was one of those things that was like, yes, that I was like just in the right place at the right time to find this, and I'm into youth fiction and young adult fiction because of Harry Potter, just because of how good it was and how much it influenced the literature and the writing industry, especially children's literature. And just I wanted to be immersed in that, and I wanted to just enjoy and show other kids and other people like just how much fun it can be, and just there's so much good there and so much so much inspiration to take, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And it's one of my goals, and I just want to lounge around in it, and it's because of Harry Potter, because it made such a big impact on me at a critical age. And here I am today. I'm a librarian. And someday I will be, well, I do that now. I watch all the new stuff come in and see like what's going to be the next big thing, and hopefully when I don't think there'll ever be another Harry Potter. Like there've been book series that have advertised themselves as the next Harry Potter, and some are similar and some aren't so much. But you can only catch that lightning in a bottle once. Yeah. And Harry Potter did it, and it will continue to inspire people, I believe.
I just hope you're not a librarian like Madam Pince. do you give people the evil eye?
No, I'm more along. I take my professional cues from McGonagall.
Good.
Or I try to anyway. No, don't judge us all by Madam Pince. Don't. I'm not gonna hex a book just because you dropped it in the bathtub.
That's good.
I might have to charge you a fine for it though, but that's library policy. That has nothing to do with me. It's something personal. I know life happens.
Yeah. All right. Well,
anyway,
unless anybody has any parting thoughts, I think that's going to be it for this week. So hopefully this has been enjoyable. So.
Yes, and please leave your comments of your experiences with Harry Potter, your memories, your thoughts, feelings, impressions, favorite characters, book, whatever you feel like talking about. And leave us some feedback, and because we love to hear from you, and love to hear that we do have listeners. I know we do. We just leave us comments on our website or Facebook, or send us an email.
Brittany, aren't you doing that Potter photo challenge soon?
Yes, I was just about to ask if I can do some self-promoting for that.
Oh, absolutely. Pimp away.
Plug your photo challenge.
Well, as I guess some people would know, I do a photo challenge every month. I'm weird like that. But August, I'm doing the Potter photo challenge, which each day of the 31 days, I have like something different, like favorite book, favorite character, your house, your favorite spells, all that kind of stuff.
I've already got a note on my phone with all the categories, and I'm starting to fill it in advance, so I'm prepared for each day.
I better do that. I've missed out on a lot of these because I haven't been prepared for it.
Yeah.
I do the photo challenges, and it's like halfway through the challenge, I'm like, I have no point in trying to catch up now.
But I do love seeing what other people come up with.
I know, it's great.
So Brittany, it starts on August 1st, right?
Yes. And I already have a blog post about it, so we can link that up into the show notes, I guess.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
We'll do that. So,
okay.
And feel free to join in. I participate in pretty much all of Brittany's photo challenges. It's mostly the ABCs.
That's why I brought it up, because I want to give our listeners an opportunity to join in.
Yeah. And, if you miss a few days, that's fine. You can either make up those days or skip them. We play this very, very, very free and however you want.
Fast and loose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have...
You can do it. Yep. You can do Instagram, on Twitter, Tumblr, just as long as you hashtag it. And
that way we can find it and favorite
sure
it and retweet it. And
like it and gush over it.
Exactly. So
let us. So
that should be fun.
It is a lot of fun. So
cool. So I think with that, I think we'll sign off for this week's episode. So.
Right. This is Brittany from Star saying goodnight.
This is Chrissy from Salt Lake City saying good night and mischief managed.
Nice one. This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
This is Michelle saying goodnight from Goddard, Ontario.
And I'm Rachel from Indianapolis, Indiana. Expecto Patronum. You have been listening to the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. Any and all movies, books, games, and other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied.